So, all right, let's talk about this. Mayor Abdullah Hamid is asked about Arab Muslim voters backing Jill Stein. And what if, surprise, surprise, oh no, 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 Donald Trump wins. It's Trump. Trump. No, not Trump. Please don't win. My God. Everybody grow up. Donald Trump being the orange boogeyman. But let's talk. Why is Jill Stein getting support from Arab and Muslim voters? Maybe it's because, I don't know, they were giving the middle finger at the DNC convention. I'm looking at you, uncommitted. Looking at you, uncommitted. Why you still be committed when you call yourselves uncommitted?
The point of the third parties that you mentioned, a recent Reuters poll showed that 40% of Arab and Muslim voters in Michigan are now backing the Green Party candidate, Jill Stein. And Michigan was really important to Joe Biden's victory in 2020. I mean, Michigan is one of those states that went to Trump in 2016. The fact that Biden was able to win Michigan by, 150,000 votes, not huge.
Blah, your brain is like, oh my God, why don't you tell those people to just vote for Kamala? Maybe it's because they don't want to. Controversial statement in a 3, 2, and an uno. Politics have to earn the vote. It's not entitled to them. Earn. Keyword is earn.
Given you talk about millions of voters, was part of the reason that he is president now. But the fact is, Mr. Mayor, Jill Stein is not going to be president of the United States. It's just not going to happen. So is this move toward Jill Stein, is that a political strategy? Or is that more a statement of anger? What is that?
I agree. And I understand that come November, you really have one of two choices over who's going to win this election, be it Vice President Harris or former President Trump. I 100% understand the electoral politics that we have at play. From the individuals that I've spoken to are supporting a third-party candidate. For them, they're trying to vote with their values and morals at the forefront. They want a president who not only advocates for an assault weapons ban here in the States, but also ensures that we don't have cabinet members of the Israeli government passing out assault weapons to radical settlers, killing Palestinians each and every single day. They want to support a president who understands that we have to end mass shooting at schools, but also holds accountable a government that decimated every university across Gaza. We care about universal healthcare and we care about what's happening in Gaza. We care about ensuring a green new future and what's unfolding in Yemen. We care about centering worker and unions' rights and also wanting to understand what's unfolding in Yemen. And we're looking for a presidential candidate who takes these values and applies them globally. And so I think that's what you're hearing from folks who are going towards a third-party candidate, be it Stein or someone else. And that's really what they want. People want to be inspired to vote for something. They don't want the simple message that Donald Trump is awful, which he is. We understand what he represents. The Muslim ban, the annexation of the Golan Heights, elimination of all aid towards Palestinians during his term. We know exactly what he represents and what he would bring in the second term. But the fear tactic is not going to work. People want an inspirational reason to come out to the ballot come November.
There's a group called the
Now, I didn't want to interrupt him with that statement. However, it's pretty much of a rude question to ask. Like, oh, yeah, Jill Stein will never become president. Well, of course. But maybe if Jill Stein and Chase Oliver, who's with the Libertarian Party, maybe they actually get that coveted 5% or above in the general election, on election night, then, hey, great. Americans have another option. Green and libertarians, okay? Fan-freaking-tastic. Maybe because people feel that they don't want to support a two-party system that's doing forever wars and also bailing out Wall Street and big banks. Maybe people want to vote for their values. Maybe people look at the Democratic Party and the Republican Party as two parties that have been constantly screwing the American people right up the wazoo for generations. I don't know. If that's a bridge too far, well, then too bad. Because maybe people want something different. Voting for third party isn't a spoiler. Voting for third party means, hey, I'm putting my vote to somebody who represents my value. Maybe that's Kamala's fault or Trump's fault for not getting third parties or independent voters. 50% of the U.S. population identifies itself as independents. But wait, hold on, you're all probably saying, but won't that help Trump? No. Because you know what? Popular vote means nothing in this country. The Electoral College supersedes everything. It's not my fault that Hillary Clinton couldn't win in 2016. It's her own campaign's fault. She was a mediocre, lackluster presidential candidate. And voters did not want her. And the DNC committed election fraud in 2016 primary to deny Bernie Sanders a nomination. They did the same thing in 2020 to give it to Biden. Bernie Sanders, being the cuck that he was, bowed not once but twice. And then there came the 2024 Democratic primary where, hey, yeah, it's Joe Biden. Nah, we don't care if Marianne Williamson there or Dean Phillips or Fat Tony, a.k.a. Cenk Uygur, or RFK Jr. are there. Too bad. No, we're not going to do it. Joe Biden drops out. Hey, everybody, Kamala won. Woo! Woo! I was there at the DNC convention. Ah! It sucks. Lackluster and everything. A lot of cringe moments, though.
Uncommitted National Movement, which is a coalition of people who supported the idea of voting uncommitted in the primaries. The group claims to have about 700,000 people who support it. And last week, the movement announced it won't endorse Kamala Harris, but they did urge supporters to vote against Trump and avoid third-party candidates. So what does that mean? I understand you don't speak for this group, but what does that mean?
Yeah, I can't speak to the thought process that went into the messaging behind the uncommitted national movements.
Uncommitted, listen. You disappoint me, uncommitted. Very disappointed.
Announcement. What I can tell you, though, is when you have conversations at the doorsteps with residents here in the city of Dearborn, where my primary concern is, there's a difference in belief. Again, you have folks who very much do support the vice president. You have folks who very much are supporting a third-party candidate. But I think the largest voting bloc are those who are not considering coming out to vote at all. And if we recall the 2016 election, it wasn't that Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton by roughly 11,000 votes in Michigan in 2016. It was the fact that 80,000 voters went out and skipped the presidential question in total. And so I think that is the thing that we are trying to course correct for. The message that I have is I endorse you voting come November. At the very minimum, you must come out and you must cast your ballot, because standing on the sideline is not sufficient, and it's not going to get us anywhere. And so we have to demonstrate our power through our voice and our power through our vote.
You are a Democrat yourself, but your position now is officially as mayor is a nonpartisan position, if I have that right?
You're a Democrat. How dare you? Oh, better yet. Hold on. Better yet. Let's do the political police. Political police. Mr. Mayor, you're a Democrat. You need to follow the orders, eat the bugs, and comply. How dare you break away from the system? You must obey all the time, every time.
So the municipal elections are nonpartisan, as they are in lots of places. Okay. So on the one hand, you certainly have had the experience, I think, of having to ask people to support you, even if they don't agree with you about everything. I don't know if you've talked to the Harris campaign about this or if they've reached out to you, but how would you suggest that they talk to voters about that?
It's a very difficult conversation. I mean, how would you approach a resident who had lost 70, 80 plus family members and tell them, regardless of what you've lost, the choice is between two, and you must still cast your ballot one way or the other? It's not an easy conversation to have.
Yes, everyone's talking about her jacket. Listen. I noticed it too, but everyone, I better not be seeing mean comments about the presenter's jacket. Everybody be nice. Stop being mean. Where did my audience learn to be so mean? We learned it from watching you, kid. We learned it from watching you.
Here's what I can tell you. For the last 20 years of my life, Arab Americans and Muslim Americans have made secondary the issues of foreign affairs. I can't tell you that between Bush, Obama, Trump, or Biden.
That jacket is terrible. I'm sorry. It is. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's just terrible. It's like dull and beige and boring and cringe.
We have had alignment or agreement on their global policies. That's not been the case. What you're hearing now in this election that's different is I have been the first to say, and I put so in my op-ed, the transformative policies of President Biden are likened to those of Lyndon B. Johnson or FDR. But a
dude, you're way off. Oh, Biden and FDR got nothing in common. Listen, I like you, but you way off on the mark on that one, Boyle.
Side outweighs all of this. The conflict we're speaking to is unprecedented. You're talking about 2.2 million people where 100% are displaced, where whether you're looking to the health ministry numbers or the Lancet Journal publication, the deaths are somewhere between 40,000 and 180,000, the majority of which are women and children, and 90% of civilian infrastructure has been decimated. The UN estimates place that it would take over a decade just to eliminate the rubble, and it would take multiple decades to rebuild. We see what's happening now in the West Bank, where the Al Jazeera offices have been shuttered for the next 45 days. We see the expansion of the war throughout Lebanon. And again, I'm getting phone calls from close, immediate family members saying they're trapped, or they have been killed, or they have been injured. And we're expected to say these issues are to fall secondary. And so I think the grace that has to be awarded to this community in this point of time is that this issue has to be as prioritized as those that I spoke to domestically.
Has the Harris campaign reached out to you? Or have you reached out to them?
There have been many conversations when we first started with the Biden administration leading into with Harris campaign individuals. And we've expressed these points time and time again, that when it comes to this community, here are the things that they're looking for. At this point, it's beyond the ceasefire. We have to understand that Benjamin Netanyahu and his cabinet are not looking to end this conflict. He's looking to retain his political position within his government. And he's doing all he can to avoid a hostage deal, to bring all the hostages and prisoners home, and to allow unfettered access to humanitarian aid. You can't keep giving this tyrant access to all the weapons and bombs that we manufacture. An arms embargo needs to be imposed in order for us to bring him to the table so we can put resolution to this conflict that's unfolding.
He's saying a lot of good things, but buddy, listen. Now you're speaking into the ether. Don't remember what Representative Thomas Massey said to Tucker Carlson. Everybody in Congress has an AIPAC bedsitter. They have a bedsitter. Which, by the way, hey, Dr. Nick, I saw that video where Fresh finally stood up to fit. Totally off topic, but I just found that funny. There you go. Hey, see, lighten up the mood all the time, every time.
And hopefully put forward a just solution in establishing a Palestinian state to end this conflict once and for all.
The former president, the current candidate, Republican candidate, is not an untested quantity. It's not a hypothetical. He's made it clear where he stands. I mean, here's a person who used Palestinian almost as a slur. I guess what I'm saying is it's a known quantity who's made it very clear that he stands solidly with Israel. I know that he's promised and he has asserted that he will bring Middle East peace. He has asserted this. I know he's asserted this to constituents of yours in various ways, but his method of doing so, I find.
Yeah, so in other words, it's like, but Kamala is the lesser of the two evils, and Kamala will do what needs to be done, even though Kamala is a sitting vice president. Dare I say it? I don't know who's running the show right now, but in theory, Kamala and Biden, especially Biden, could have done a lot of stuff to prevent this war from getting out of pocket, and they didn't. They didn't. Okay. They didn't. I didn't. Okay. If you know what the I didn't is referencing, it's from Christopher from Sopranos when Tony asked him, "Hey, are you doing that smack again?"
Fine would not. I would venture to say would not be pleasing to most of your constituents. And so then the question becomes, what if Mr. Trump wins and all the things that you have supported and worked for and care about are undone?
Gee, and the Democrats had 3.5 years, dare I say it, 4 years to do some things. Hell, under Obama, they had 8 years to do something. They had a lot of time to do a lot of things there. But oh no, it's Trump. Trump's going to be bad and mean.
How will you answer that?
I am doing all that I can to prevent Donald Trump from being reelected. And what I'm trying to do is use a platform that I have and urging the vice president to chart a new course on what's happening. Not because Dearborn residents are asking for it, not because Arab Americans and Muslim Americans are asking for it, because the center of the party that she represents, the center of this country, has moved on its issues. Whether it's an arms embargo, pursuing a ceasefire, ending the conflicts overseas, these are all things that everyday Americans are calling for. And so if we can uphold that value and heed the concerns of Americans from coast to coast, we can work collectively to rebuild the coalition to prevent the re-election of Donald Trump. But this is not about moving a constituency that is feeling deep pain. This is about moving a candidate who is seeking the highest office in the globe on issues of morality. And that is what we're trying to do in this moment of time. Obviously, elections start soon. And that's why we are urging with all the power that we have. That's why you see a muddied rollout from the uncommitted national movement on messaging, because we understand what Donald Trump represents. Nobody is here to debate that by any means. We understand that ultimately you have a binary choice come this November. But what is not binary is are the positions that are being taken right now overseas.
And he's not wrong there. He has every right to voice his opinion and to be disappointed in politicians. Politicians that constantly lie to us. I know we're going to hear from the Vote Blue no matter who people saying, but Trump, 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 and more Trump, 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 Trump. Well, Trump is no different than any other politician. The only thing is he's told us the truth. Hey, why are we in Syria? Because of the oil. DC collectively crapped its pants. They made a brown so big that's still taking them time to clean the pants because he dropped away the secret sauce. That's what Trump did. Hey, yeah, there's forever wars going on. We're only there for the oil. O-I-L, oil. And if people die, well, then so be it. If you're not angry, you should be. And, look, when October 7th happened, as tragic as that day was, I mean, this war didn't need to escalate. This war in Ukraine didn't need to escalate. All these wars didn't need to escalate, but these things could have been stopped. If Kamala and Biden really wanted to, and they could use their power. But we're all being bought off. All of them are being bought off. If you're not angry about our system as is, if you're not furious at the hypocrisy of our two-party system, I don't know what more to tell you. But a vote for a third-party candidate is not helping out the other candidate, not helping out a Democrat or Republican candidate. A vote for a Green or Libertarian or Independent is our voice expressing concern and doubt in the Democratic Party and Republican Party's policies. And I encourage my viewing audience to consider voting independent or third party. Vote however you feel like, because after election night, the world will still move on. And then we go ahead and play this game in 2028. Isn't that special? Nothing will fundamentally change until the people step up. And that's what we need to do.